My name is Ashton Cunningham. I'm a master's student at Arkansas Tech University, and the school that I have accepted a position at is a Title I school, which basically means that they get different kinds of funding because they live in an area that is kind of low income. So some of what the problem is that a handful of the students don't have access to the internet or the appropriate technology at home to do their assignments. And so some students are having to stay late after school to finish their assignments with school equipment and internet access, while some of them aren't completing the work at all because they ride the bus so they can't stay, or they just don't have the ability to do it at home. The students do have Chromebooks in the classroom, but they aren't allowed to take them home every day, and some of the ones who are given the ability to take the laptops home don't have internet access. So like I said, my name is Miss Cunningham, and I'm at Mills Middle School. I teach 6th grade, and they are a very diverse group of both students and little people. So it's really important for me to consider all of their needs and each individual student as a whole. My lesson plan was pretty simple. I chose a few technology tools that I thought could teach them how to work together, how to navigate these new websites so that they're comfortable using them at home, how they can be accessed, and then how I'm going to assess the students to make sure they understand how to use them and how they can benefit from them at the highest level. Do I feel like these tools can help solve the problem? They allow for the students to save work and continue, so like they can start it at school while they still have Wi-Fi and they can continue it at home. But the biggest thing for me is that it allows me to look at timestamps, and they're available on mobile devices. So even if a student doesn't have Wi-Fi, they could do it on their parent's cell phone. We're going to go a little bit more in depth about them, but the three that I chose are Intellum, eFront, and of course the Google form. So Intellum is a website that allows students to work on their assignments whether they have internet access or not. They can submit them whenever they have internet access, but the teacher is able to see timestamps for when they started the assignment and when they completed it. So if they started it at school, but they didn't complete it till they got home, even if they didn't have Wi-Fi, I could see when they worked on it last. So this would allow me to see that they worked on it at home and finished it at home, even if they had to wait until the morning at school to submit it. There's also a mobile app for Intellum, so that means that as long as their parent has a cell phone that has cellular data, they could use that to work on their assignment. This is kind of what Intellum looks like. It's very colorful. It has a lot of different features that you can do. It has like study sets, flashcards, matching. So I mean, it has a lot of stuff. eFront gives the students access to something called a cloud, which holds all of the information on it. So it would have past assignments, notes, current assignments, and lessons that they could have done with the teacher, and they are all in the same place. So if the students download all of this information as it becomes available, it's easily accessible, whether online or off. And I thought this would be helpful for the students because they would have access to all kinds of information in case they ran into trouble at home. So if they were confused about an assignment, that cloud would hold notes from the day with the teacher, so they could go back and they could look at those and they could remember how we worked through it. It also has the ability for students to create presentations and share them with the class by either presenting in the classroom or uploading them to the cloud where the other students can access it at any time. This is kind of what eFront looks like. It has super easy course management for the teacher, which was really nice for me because I'm not super technologically inclined. And it just kind of grows and changes. It has updates that come every year, which is super nice. The Google Forms was kind of more of a for me thing. At the end of the technology lesson, the students are going to have learned about these two different websites. So I wanted to see which one they would prefer, if they felt like they were pretty easy to use, what they liked and didn't like about both. And then this is kind of just a screen grab of the technology tool quiz that I created. So for each tool in the lesson, we're going to have a different thing we're going to do. For Intellum, students are going to create a Powtoon, and we've already used Powtoon a few times together, so they know how to do it. But they're going to create a Powtoon for the topic that I give them, and they're going to upload it to the Classroom Intellum page so that all the other students have access to each other's presentations. And then as soon as everybody's finished and has submitted it by the deadline, they're all going to be able to present them in front of the room. For eFront, we're going to divide the students into small groups, and each of them are going to create a set of online flashcards with different types of figurative language, what they are, and a short example. And the students are then going to upload the flashcards to the cloud on eFront, and then all the other students will have the ability to see those flashcards and use them to study. And then at the end of the lesson, the students are going to fill out a Google form. It's going to ask about honest feedback about each new technological tool that they used. It's going to ask them if they liked it, if they didn't like it, what things they liked and didn't like, if they thought it was easy to navigate, and most of all, it's going to ask them if they feel like they could use them in the future. When I divide the students into their small groups, I want to make sure that I put students that have internet access at home in one group, along with students who maybe don't. I want them to be able to see that even if they don't have internet access at home, they can still use these tools just like their classmates. I would also like to make sure that I have students with high skill level and understanding paired with peers who are struggling so that they can learn from each other and participate in something called peer tutoring. These are the standards that I align this lesson with. Obviously, I use the Common Core. So determine the meaning of words and phrases as they're used in a text, including figurative and connotative meanings. Determine a theme or central idea of a text and analyze its development over the course of the text. And then I went in ahead and I aligned it to some of the NETS standards, which are communication and collaboration and technology operations and concepts. I know that I have to expect that the students will be confused because this is going to be their first time using some things like this, but that's why it's important that I make sure I have learned all of the in and outs of these websites so that any question they have I can answer. And I mean, obviously I have to expect some technical difficulties as they have to make sure their assignments are submitted and available so that other students have access, and if they are not available publicly, then they're going to have to resubmit. They're going to be super confused and they're going to be wanting to know the specifics of all of it so that they don't mess up, and I get that. So I need to make sure that I know exactly how each of them work and be able to help them with each step. The assessment is going to be mostly participation and completion because these tools are new, and so I don't want to grade them on their usage or the adequacy. I just want to make sure that they participated and that they tried and that they completed their assignments. So that's what the use of the Google Forms is at the end as well. Obviously, sometimes students are going to need some accommodations. There are students who have sight impairments or hearing impairments, or, they just have some auditory things, and so text-to-speech is a good thing. It can read what's on the screen aloud. Larger text for those kiddos who, have a hard time looking at screens and the words just kind of blur in with the background after a while. Inverted screens is something that I just learned about. It inverts the colors to where the back is a darker color and the font is a lighter color, and it just really helps with that contrast. And then dimmed brightness, just for those who kind of have a hard time looking at blue screens all day. These are some links to the websites that we're going to use in this lesson. I wanted to go ahead and provide them here in case you wanted to check out the 3 websites that I used. I think that this can help because starting these assignments now and showing these students how to use these websites and technology tools is going to assist them when they run into problems at home. If they have access to all this information or are able to use it at home, either with internet or without, they also have the ability to use a mobile device. They won't feel like they're doing inadequate work, and they won't have to miss as many assignments. Do I think that this will totally solve the problem? No. Obviously, there are environmental factors at home that I can't change, And some kids have different lives at home than they do at school, but I'm going to do my best to make sure they have every tool they need to complete their assignments to the best of their ability.